Want to send some thoughts and prayers to Brian Gumbel, news anchorman, groundbreaking sports journalist, HBO Real Sports, etc., as he's in the hospital. He lost his brother in the past year, Greg, who was a big time fan of, who was a groundbreaker himself in the sports world. You know, if you are of a certain age and a time period, you can't imagine sports talk or news anchoring without Brian Gumbel. Very charismatic, very opinionated, dignified, well spoken. You know, I can almost say that the Gumbel brothers were kind of like the Marcelluses of sports journalism, and they had a certain sophistication. I still remember when Brian Gumbel was leaving. Was it his birthday show, or was he leaving today? I forgot what it was. But anyway, when Prince dressed like him, you talk about a treat, because he was a big Prince fan, and you know that whole thing was something else to see that you came out dressed just like him, and that whole thing. Brian always had a certain diction, and he spoke. You know, one of those guys that he was polarizing, but he didn't make himself uh, look underqualified. He always made a point of standing up to the status quo. You know, I didn't always agree with everything with Brian Gumbel, but I'll say this: he wasn't corny with it. He was articulate. He was no nonsense, and he had a balance. And I'm gonna tell you something. And yeah, I gotta say it in this context. He's everything that Stephen A. Smith wished he was, because Brian Gumbel was not doing Bushwick cherry picking, corny, generic, tabloidish, and distant. When he was going against his colleagues, he was actually standing on ground on business. So, but anyway, we're not gonna go in there. But I wanted to give us an overall view of what he represents. And if you ever watch HBO Real Sports, you know that his opinions, his character, the way he would interpret, and how far he came, because he was the one. When you see the likes of a Stephen A. Smith, Kevin Frazier in particular, a lot of African American former athletes or news, however they came about, are in depth of gratitude to him. I don't know how people understand 50 years ago what he represented when he was on NBC doing football commentary, and how he moves up to the news anchor. So when you see a lot of these anchors, they eat off of his plate. I don't think a lot of people realize the Trailblazers, especially the Gumbel brothers, what they meant. So, but this was, I'm hoping that he's all right. He's now 77. And sometimes you get lost in a trance about timing and everything, because you don't even think about how old somebody is, because they've been around so long, and you've had them in